Hello guys, welcome to the movie recap review. Happy watching.
You dream you fished me from the
睇得少嚟。
Syracuse, known as Circus, is out fishing with his boat when he stumbles upon a young woman trapped in his net. To his surprise, she's alive, so he quickly performs first aid to revive her. The woman introduces herself as Ondine and insists on avoiding a hospital, unwilling to be seen by anyone else. Circus decides to take her to a secluded caravan house that once belonged to his late mother, situated in a quiet harbor. This detour causes him to be late picking up his daughter Annie, who is wheelchair-bound and lives with his ex-wife Mora. While Annie undergoes dialysis, Circus recounts a tale about a fisherman who discovers a mysterious woman from the sea. Annie suggests that the woman might be a magical selkie, a mythical creature known for its enchanting abilities. Later, Annie receives a new power chair from the CRC, which brings a brief moment of joy. However, upon returning home, she is met with tension as Mora's boyfriend, Alex, is there, and Mora herself is furious with Circus. She angrily gestures at him for missing an important doctor's appointment where they were supposed to discuss a potential kidney match for Annie. The next morning, Circus discovers Ondine washing clothes in a stream and singing in a language he doesn't recognize. Intrigued and somewhat enchanted, he invites her to join him on his boat for the day's work. As they head out, Circus finds his lobster pots coming up empty, but when Ondine begins singing again, each pot miraculously yields a full catch. Still keen on staying out of the public eye, Ondine chooses not to accompany Circus to the fish market where he sells the lobsters. While at the market, Circus purchases a dress and tells the store clerk a fib, claiming it's for Annie to wear when she grows up. When Circus picks up Annie from school, he continues the story about the fisherman and the mysterious woman. He tells her that the woman sings in an unknown language to lure the fish for him to catch. Annie excitedly explains that the language must be Selk, the tongue of the Selkies. Circus, slightly flustered, mentions that even his lobsters respond to her singing. This piques Annie's curiosity, making her wonder whose story this truly is. She decides to secretly follow Circus to the caravan. Later, Circus asks Ondine how long she plans to stay, and she replies that it's up to him. Amused, Circus jokingly responds, "Forever and happily ever after," mirroring the fairy tale he's been weaving with Annie. Unbeknownst to them, Annie is watching this interaction from a distance. Back at home, Annie dives into her new library books about seals and selkies, studying them intently. When discussing selkies, Alex mentions that they are Scottish creatures, but Annie points out that the one she saw doesn't quite fit that description. Circus meets with the priest for a confession, though the priest has repeatedly reminded him that this isn't an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. As Circus reflects on his struggles, he recounts a recurring nightmare where he finds himself at Alex's funeral, only to be reunited with Mora, who is still grappling with her drinking problem. The priest, uncomfortable with the topic, attempts to steer the conversation away. Circus then shifts the discussion to the mysterious woman he found and brought home, Ondine. He describes her enigmatic presence and the strange impact she's had on his life. Meanwhile, Ondine is alone in the caravan, organizing and tidying up the space. She experiments with her new clothing, clearly fascinated by the experience. She playfully stretches a pair of leggings over one of her hands, creating a webbed effect, as if exploring the sensation of the fabric for the first time. The next day, Ondine is swimming when she encounters Annie unexpectedly. They bond over a conversation about selkies, with Ondine neither confirming nor denying the myths. She tenderly kisses Annie goodbye before the girl returns to her mother. Meanwhile, Circus is at the library searching for books about selkies, only to find that Annie has already checked them all out. Outside, Annie comes across some neighborhood kids showing off their bicycles. She allows one of them to play with her power chair, but it shorts out after driving into water. The kids abandon Annie, mocking her as a spaz, leaving her to struggle alone as she pushes the power chair back home. At home, she finds Alex drinking beer. As he works to dry out the chair's batteries, Annie brings up selkies again. Alex shares that selkies come from his homeland in the Outer Hebrides, but notes that Ondine doesn't speak like he does. Circus takes Ondine fishing again, this time letting her steer the tiller. Their peaceful outing is interrupted when a fisheries board patrol boat speeds by, prompting Ondine to hide. As Circus pulls up his net, Ondine starts singing, and he finds it filled with an abundant catch of salmon, which is unusual for trawling. When the patrol boat returns to inspect for prohibited gill netting, Ondine hides among the dry gill nets. The guards search for any signs of illegal activity and discover Ondine. Unsure if she can be seen, Circus is relieved when the guards accept her explanation for how the fish were caught. With Ondine no longer needing to hide, Circus heads into the town harbor to sell their catch. As they arrive, the townspeople stare at Ondine, captivated by her presence. Among the onlookers is a dark-haired man who appears to be searching for her. Circus and Ondine then go shopping for clothes and run into Annie, who eagerly helps Ondine pick out outfits. The townsfolk continue to gawk through the store window, entranced by the sight of the beautiful Ondine. Later, Circus plans to pick up Annie for the local regatta festivities, but Mora informs him that she has already left. Ondine receives another surprise visit from Annie and notices that the caravan has been cleaned. Upon learning that Annie can't swim, Ondine and Annie play together in the shallow water. There, Ondine finds something that Annie believes to be her seal coat, and they decide to bury it in the greenhouse. Annie expresses her wish for Ondine to stay for 7 years unless a Selkie husband comes to claim her, and she shares this hope with Circus as they all head into town by boat. However, Ondine warns Annie that she isn't a Selkie and can't grant wishes. Upset by this revelation, Annie pretends to have brake failure and throws herself off the pier to test if Ondine can breathe underwater. Ondine immediately jumps in to rescue her. They bring Annie back to Mora and Alex, who inform Annie that a man has been asking about Ondine. This news triggers a nightmare for Annie about the Selkie husband coming to take Ondine away. Back at the caravan, Circus opens up to Ondine, explaining that he is called Circus the Clown because he was once an alcoholic like Mora. He shares that he stopped drinking for Annie's sake, yet custody was still granted to Mora. Back in the confessional, Circus confesses to the priest that he slept with Ondine the previous night. He admits his fear of the good luck she brings, as he had lost hope long ago. Upon leaving, he is approached by the unknown man inquiring about Ondine, but Circus ignores him. Circus brings Annie back from dialysis, only to find himself locked out of the house because Mora and Alex are out drinking at a pub. Annie asks to be left with them, so Circus returns to the caravan, only to find it ransacked with Ondine hiding nearby. Circus pleads with Ondine to stay and asks her to wish the man away, but Ondine's only wish is for Annie not to be sick. Meanwhile, the unknown man, driving angrily through town, causes an accident with Mora, who was drunk driving. Alex is killed, thrown through the windshield. Ondine and Circus rush to follow Annie to the hospital, where they learn she is getting an immediate kidney transplant from Alex, who had opted to be a donor. At the hospital, the unknown man confronts Ondine, questioning why she speaks their language, as neither of them truly belong there. After Alex's wake, Circus and Mora both get drunk. Mora demands that Circus get rid of Ondine, who is now hiding on his boat, as she believes Ondine is a source of bad luck. In a drunken state, Circus decides to maroon Ondine at Roncrig Lighthouse Island, thinking that separating from her will end his troubles, as he believes humans and Selkies cannot coexist. As dusk falls, the driftwood around Ondine gives her silhouette the appearance of a seal's tail. She takes the opportunity to jump into the sea and swim towards Seal Rock, where the seals are. The priest finds Circus in a state of despair the next morning and convinces him to bring Annie from the hospital to his home. Annie comforts Circus, assuring him that Ondine will return because she left something behind. Later, while Annie is watching TV and listening to Sigur Rós, Circus recognizes the music as the same songs Ondine sang. Determined to find her, Circus goes back to Seal Rock to confront Ondine and demand the truth. Ondine initially tells him a story that she is a sea creature who found her seal coat and buried it so she could stay with the family she loves. However, she then reveals her true identity. She is a drug mule from Romania. Her pushta, Vladik, was evading the coast guards when she swam away with a backpack full of heroin because Vladik couldn't swim. She drifted in the sea until Circus rescued her. Circus returns with Ondine to Annie, only to be ambushed by Vladik and another gunman. Annie, confused and scared, believes they are after the seal coat. The group heads to the greenhouse to dig it up, but it's missing because Annie had moved it. Ondine promises to stay with Annie and reveals that the coat was actually moved to a lobster pot. When they pull up the lobster pot, Annie reminds Ondine that she is a Selkie, but Vladik is not. In a dramatic turn, Ondine pulls the rope Vladik is standing on, causing him to fall overboard. Vladik drowns while trying to retrieve the falling lobster pot, which Annie had pushed back into the water. Circus then throws the remaining Romanian gunman into the water, disarming him. The gunman is arrested ashore, along with Ondine, who faces the possibility of deportation. The narrative comes full circle as Annie is seen making a confession to the priest, who is preparing to wed Circus and Ondine. The fairy tale concludes with the theme that Selkie women often find unexpected happiness with a landsman.
And that's the end of the story. I hope you liked it. Comment down below what movies do you like us to recap next. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.